Skilled work is evolving, and the next generation is building careers in places most people would never even think to look. We've explored aerospace welding, and now we're stepping into a completely different kind of skilled world, one where creativity, engineering, fabrication, and execution all mash up and collide. Today, we're joined by Ryan Tucknott, Director of Business Development at Walter Productions, a company known for building large-scale immersive experiences that turn bold ideas into real-world creations. Ryan, thanks for being here on Skilled Nation.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy.
So let's get to know you a little bit. First of all, for people who have not seen the website or been at one of your events, they should at minimum go to the website. There's pyrotechnics. It's immersive. Tell me about the kinds of things that Walter does.
I mean, ultimately, we're an entertainment company, so focused in providing those experiences for people, kind of a disconnect from their daily lives. And I think that's what we do really well, and it's married really well with art. And, you know, art can provide all sorts of emotion in those experiences. So that's a niche that we've kind of found ourselves in, is that marriage of art and experience to invoke that emotion and ultimately pull people out of their typical daily lives to give them a break from all the stresses and everything they deal with.
See, it's a non-addictive break from reality. I love
Sure,
it.
yeah.
And you want to transport people out of their day-to-day. So it's not one of those careers when you think about, I'm going to be an engineer, I'm going to be this, I'm going to a fireman. How did you find your way to this kind of production?
Great question. I've always personally been involved in events since I was 12, 13, starting out as kind of a professional DJ at a pretty young age, and carrying that through college, going to Arizona State University, and then ultimately I went to Burning Man.
Oh, okay.
And my eyes completely opened up to an entirely new way to see the world. And Burning Man at its core is an art festival. At its core. And by going to Burning Man, my path and trajectory was it was still in the events industry, but a very typical convention, hospitality events side of things. Going to Burning Man exposed this opportunity focused around arts and creativity, but still in events. And, Walter Productions was born out of Burning Man. And going to Burning Man for the first time was an experience for me that allowed me to have this attraction to that as a festival and an opportunity. And I started to get more connected with individuals, and then ultimately found Walter, at the time Camp Walter. Walter Productions wasn't quite an organization or a company at the time. And out of that, started to get more involved and became a project manager on some of our large builds, art cars and sound stages. And that led into a job. And I quit my corporate job at that time, despite my parents, and their concerns around me quitting my corporate job and that kind of career path and trajectory that I was on. But there was just something inside me, kind of a passion, something that said, this not only feels good, but it feels right in the world. And I grabbed it and went on. And I think just with my adaptability over the years has allowed me to just not only grow myself, but really grow the company and in tandem, growing both of us. So,
and for the people who don't know, although I think it's a pretty common reference at this point, Burning Man is out in the middle of a desert. There's nothing there when the first arrivers land, and they build everything.
Yep.
Like it's where you're going to live for those days, for that week, really. It's big, it's explosive, it's pyrotechnic, it's steampunk. So is all of that, you say, grew out of Burning Man? Is that all still kind of infused in the DNA of the company?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Everything that we have done and continue to do is a collaborative environment and collaborative engagement. And that is the core of Burning Man as well, is it's all about collaboration and working together. You have a skill over here, you have an idea over there. You want to just support the ones that may be doing the work, and everybody just coming together to create that city of Burning Man. And we've basically done that in Walter Productions, where we've been able to create not only our fleet of art cars, business units like our pyrotechnic flame effect division, and our venues as well. And that just still continues to live on when we throw things like our theme parties, we call our signature parties, which are highly collaborative, and we're pulling in people that maybe have I've never touched any sort of art or been involved in creative art or creative decor, and they may have an idea or an interest, and we're pulling them in and saying, great, you can help create this experience for everybody.
It's interesting. We're on Skilled Nations, the Skilled Nation podcast, and we talk to a lot of people that are in kind of what you would imagine as traditional skilled trades. They're welding, they're linesmen, they're electricians. They're doing these kinds of. You seem like you would require, because you're building. Well, in the case of Burning Man, you're building a city from scratch. In the case of what you're putting together, pyrotechnics, I think that's pipes, that's valves. I think that's welding, fabrication. What skilled trades are you pulling into this crazy mashup that is a Walter Productions event?
Yeah. Speaking on the pyrotechnics flame effects side of things, a lot of our
Let's start with fire.
Yeah,
Why
let's
not?
start with fire, right? Everyone loves fire. A lot of our team's actually rocket engineers, working for like companies like Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, things of that nature, and we're kind of seen as a little bit of an outlet from their typical job where they're looking at designs and plans and they don't get the hands on. So we have the opportunity to work with skilled, tech engineers, true engineers in that capacity. But then we also have team members that just love fire and have an attraction to that and want to create those experiences and want to get involved. So they just start showing up. And one of the rules in Walter is show up. And by showing up, that means you're showing up not only physically, but in your full capacity. You're excited, you're passionate, you're ready to learn, and you got a great attitude. Those elements, that right there is going to position you well to say, great, we want to work with you, and we want to support you and show you and guide you into different ideas and paths that you may want to explore.
What a great opportunity, too, for somebody in skilled trades who comes and shows up to really tap into a creative side. And do you find that that's an underappreciated part of being in the skilled trades is the creativity that is in that segment?
Yeah, I mean, hard for me to comment specifically on that because I'm heavily involved in the creative side, not in that heavy rigor. Okay, we're just welding steel all day long, the same product over and over. But we find that everybody needs that creative outlet. Like they all need that opportunity. And then the magical element that I think we have that is an attraction for people to want to work with us is that they get to have to share that in a very magical way. That's not just a building that got created or a product that got created. It's in a magical way where there's an experience that is evoking that emotion, and they see the crowd go crazy when something happens, and they feel like they were a part of creating that. And I actually just got some chills because that's what happens to you when you're on the back end, and that's why performers will do what they do. That's even why the big stage concert productions and the lighting guys behind the booth just going crazy. He knows he's got that magic button to make the crowd go bonkers.
Yeah.
But same thing with fire. Everyone loves the big red button to push the fire, which we share with people sometimes from time to time. And to have that ability to invoke that emotion from people and that experience of like, wow, and yet you did it yourself, you created that, or you were a part of creating that. Even the guy that's running the valves, watching the scales, refueling the tanks, watching pressures, things of that nature on the back end, like they know if they're not doing their job and on top of it and making sure the tanks have enough fuel in it, that moment's not going to occur. So they're very much feeling like they're a part of it.
We are talking with Ryan Tucknott. He's the Director of Business Development at Walter Productions. You're talking about all this creativity and the intersection of the skilled trades and creativity. Talk about safety and training. I mean, one of the things I'm impressed about on the Skilled Nation podcast when we talk to experts, when we talk to instructors, when we talk to people in the business, is your day begins and ends with a safety briefing. Your day is all about making sure that everyone goes home and to their families and kids. I imagine that truly trained professionals in these trades who are dealing with pyrotechnics, who are dealing with fuel lines, who are dealing with valves, it's really important that they know their stuff.
100%. Yeah, critically important. It's easy to produce a show when everything's going right. Mm-hmm. And, the classic example is, okay, we have a great audio engineer. Well, they can run it when everything's going fine, but when something is not working correctly, that's the true testament to find out how good of an engineer they are. They can quickly find that problem, resolve it fast, or even better, they can proactively anticipate a potential issue and avoid that problem. So, training with regard to the pyrotechnics and flame effects, it's such a niche industry, such a small industry. There's some industry organizations and things that you can do, but it by and large is hands-on training. Okay. And part of that is we will set up a system in a parking lot in a non-show environment, very controlled state, and then put our systems in a state that is not a safe state. Put it in a state that it would normally not be at a show environment. For an example, kinking a fuel hose. So you don't have that same fuel flow. And now the effect is going to do something that's erroneous. We'll do that in that environment so they can see it in a safe environment to say, okay, got it. This is what could happen. And this is what, if that happens, it may be a kinked fuel hose. So it's an example of just modeling what elements could occur in environments. And then it's also just testing. I mean, we want to put these systems through as much, like we want to fire that button as quickly as we can to see what happens with the system, or as long as we can to see what will happen with the system, so that we don't go into a show environment and replicate that, and all of a sudden everybody's caught off guard and surprised by, wait, what just happened, because we didn't anticipate it or we didn't test it and try it.
I'm hearing you talk about three separate things in that response, which is networking, mentorship, and adaptability. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about how important it is, especially for people early career, or maybe still in trade school, to build their network? Because it could lead to really cool opportunities like you're doing at Walter Productions.
Yeah. I mean, the common saying is, it's not what you know, who you know. And that's very true in this world. I think social media is a huge, more relatively modern element of networking. I'm just continually finding that's super critical because these opportunities, people like to work with people that they know, or people that they can trust, or people that they've worked with or known about. And that is the opportunity for you to get your avenue in versus, okay, well, I've got 5-6 different applications here. I don't know any of these people. I could try to get to know them, but it's all risk versus, oh, well, this person, I've seen them show up a couple of times. They've been around, or I've ran into them over here. And again, going back to our rule, show up, I've always had the kind of idea that, and this is ultimately how I landed in Walter, that if you want to do anything in this world, just start doing it.
Yeah.
Like, don't necessarily wait for the job, the pay or anything. Just start doing it. And sometimes that may just be, just show up, and maybe isn't exactly at the company you want to work for, but just show up at a similar company, or trade events, or associations, get involved over there, and just start showing up and trying to do it. And even in, taking it down to a level where cleaning the venues, if you will. We throw massive parties for thousands of people. We make a mess. If somebody wanted to get involved in our team, what a better way to show that you're a team player than to show up and start cleaning up. Just start picking up after the event. And the next thing you know, we're not going to kick you out quickly. You're picking trash up right now. Okay. Then you could start to meet some people. You can start to talk to some people. And now you've kicked off that element of networking versus just trying to make cold calls or sending messages. Right. And hey,
they've seen you in action.
You're here, you're now, and I see you're doing the dirty job. You're doing the job that people would run away from, and that's just showing that you're willing to start at that level.
So networking involves a certain amount of hustle.
Yeah,
but
100%.
Also the flip side of that is the willingness of people who are already in the tent to provide mentorship. Do you find that people underestimate how valuable it is to seek out mentorship? Because most people seem willing to give it. They seem willing to provide it because they want to get back to the career that's been good to them, or the opportunities.
Sure. Yeah, it is difficult to seek out mentorship, and I think it's particularly challenging on, like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Where do you start?
Is it just as easy as just ask, or as you say, show up and say, I've never used this tool, I've never done...
I come at it from the perspective of show up. Show up, and someone's not naturally just going to pour their time and energy into saying, oh, I want to mentor you and really try to focus on that.
They have their own tasks.
They've got their own things, especially if there's not any sort of interest, back from the other person. So if the interest is coming from the mentee that really is seeking that, oh, okay, you're going to pull my attention, and you're here, and you're showing up, and you are asking questions, and you want to get involved. Okay, I'll give you some of that attention, and I'll give you some more of my time here.
So ask again. Show up and ask.
Yeah.
And that last part was adaptability.
Yes.
You are describing situations where you're throwing curveballs at people on purpose in a safe environment to see how adaptable they are, to see how calm, cool, collected they are in a stressful situation, and to see their diagnostic mind at work. How important is adaptability? Because I don't think it can be emphasized enough.
I mean, as a species, we're inherently adaptable, as humans. That is a core trait of us as a species. But, I think in society that tends to get kind of squashed sometimes. And I think persistence kind of goes along with adaptability, where you're going to fail. And that's a positive experience. That failure is a positive experience.
It's data.
That's an ability for you to understand a little bit more and learn and adapt if needed to try it again. And that's why I think adaptability and persistence are hand in hand in kind of achieving some success in wherever you're trying to head. You could talk to any highly successful person, and they'll all tell you, oh, I've failed dozens of times to get to this point. And they've failed, they've learned, they've adapted, and they've tried again and just kept being persistent. And every time they tried again, they knew what not to do,
right,
or what to do, because they've already tried it before.
We are talking with Ryan Tucknott. He is the Director of Business Development at Walter Productions. Walter Productions seems to be, I don't want to say there's a melding, but it also represents a tension, right, between the technical side and the creative side. And when you think of what we talk about on our podcast, the skilled trades, which way do you see it going? Is it going more technical? Is it going more creative? Or is it silly to try to separate the two?
I mean, I'll take the unique perspective that it's going to go more creative. And I think just creativity opens up differentiation in the market, which can naturally lead to success.
Okay.
Technical tends to be pretty black and white and rigid. It's a backbone. It needs to be there. It's important, but the creativity element of that's going to allow you to really innovate, to explore, to try new things, to connect with new partners. That element is going to ensure the continued innovation. So I do think it is hand in hand with, from my perspective, would be that technical is the backbone. Right. We wouldn't be able to do what we do if we didn't understand the technical systems and keep them running well, polished, etc. So
that's the base. Creativity is a differentiator.
Mm-hmm.
So you have such a unique company. You do such unique events. Do you have insight into roles inside of Walter Productions that people from the outside might not even know exist or realize the way that they're informed or made possible by skilled trades?
It's a great question. Yeah. I don't think when it comes to the events world, the general public understands the amount of legwork that goes into creating that experience.
And you don't want them to, right?
That's part of the magic of the show.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily want them to. And sure, yeah, everyone perceives, okay, yeah, they had to set up a bunch of portos, and yeah, they had to build the stage and run a bunch of cables. But it starts way, way before that. Elements of like logistics and scheduling. How are we going to get these things here? Things like weather preparedness. An outdoor event, what happens if the place gets completely saturated with water? How do we move this heavy equipment around a site? Because unlike a lot of industries that have sure targets and deadlines, but they're not quite as rigid as events. Events don't change their dates. When the event date is set, or very, very rarely will an event actually change their date. And if it does, it's because of critical issues, like very unavoidable, massive critical issues. But most industries, construction industries, product industries are creating products. Okay, yeah, we have a target. Q4, we're going to complete this. Oh, well, we had a delay over here, supplier delay, design delays. Okay, well, it's not going to be Q4, it'll be Q1 next year. That doesn't occur in events.
No, you do not have that
Yeah,
flexibility.
you don't.
Yeah.
So going back to your question, it's all of that pre-planning and kind of foresight and understanding that this date's not going to change. Like, we really have to ensure that we mitigate any potential risks to ensure that the show must go on. And when the doors are scheduled, the doors open up. And all those pieces that are in there come into play. So speaking of a unique kind of back-end skill trade, it's that unforeseen legwork that's way before even you show up to an event or you get on site. There's a ton of work that goes into to getting prepared to host that event.
So you're talking about logistics, project management type skills.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That would be even better if they were informed by what the people that are showing up on X date have to do. What do they need to succeed? What tools need to be on hand if they don't have them themselves? That's another because you're in a situation where you're doing these events and you might have people from the local community showing up that aren't part of your core group that travels. I imagine you can kind of see and discern what separates the hobbyist who shows up just because, hey, this could be fun, from the trained professional. Do you know it right away? Can you just see?
Attention to detail is an element of that, in kind of separating those two, and I think a focus on excellence is another element of it. The hobbyist is okay, yeah, it's not quite as good as I was hoping or thinking it was going to be, and they may be okay with that, and it's acceptable. But in our industry, excellence is really important.
Right.
And you can't have that light that's not doing what it's supposed to do, because everybody's going to draw their attention to that light that's not doing what it's supposed to do. So let's fix the light before the doors open.
Professionalism. Yeah. So when you're such a cool vibe, the company has such a cool vibe. You seem to, from what I could tell, attract a lot of young talent.
Mm-hmm.
Talk me off the ledge, or talk our viewers off the ledge, or listeners who think, these Gen Z kids. What's the future of skilled work, of people in these professions, the hands-on professions? Is it a good talent pool? Do you believe in the future?
Yeah, we have to believe in the future. That's
we don't have a
without
choice.
question. We don't have a choice. But yeah, I do believe in the future. I think their ability to work very quickly with technology. As I get older, I'm just start to realize I'm like, oh wow, I'm starting to feel older, because the speed of that technology and the utilization of it, and the various platforms that they'll utilize to result in an outcome is a bit impressive. Where the older generation tends to get stuck in their old ways,
Mm-hmm.
and think, oh, this is just how we do it, how it is all the time. And then you maybe get a younger firecracker in there that says, no, wait, hey, you can apply AI into this, and that'll help efficiencies over here. And the older generations be like, well, I've been doing this for years, I don't need to change my methods. Yeah, well, you don't need to, but if you want to shrink your timelines, you want to be highly efficient and survive still in this world, you still need to kind of listen to the young folks and the Gen Zs, if you will, because they're far more in tune with the technology side of things, and it's the IT systems. It's social media is absolutely paramount nowadays, and AI with its evolution and evolving. So
And yet, this doesn't seem like an industry, this kind of creative, experiential, immersive industry. It's never going to go all AI. I mean, I think you're talking about somewhat AI-proof career paths. Would you say that's about right?
yeah, I mean, a lot of what we do is hands-on. Like you can't produce a show without a lot of hands-on. But the AI can be a tool in a lot of that project management, things that we talked about, the pre-production planning, even things on more like customers and capturing, on the sales side of things, trying to get you exposure or optimize systems and processes to respond to customers quicker, those types of things. So because it's not just, oh, we get to throw a party, there's, again, all of this back end work that exists.
We've been very kind to Gen Z. The check is in the mail from their PR. But what's missing? I mean, what skills, what attitudes, what grit, what do you see missing from people that are the youngest people on your crews as you go from city to city and set these up?
The inability to have a delayed gratification element.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
they want it now. I want it right here, right now. And if I don't get it, then I'm going to back away, step back. And this kind of goes back into that persistence that I was describing. Like, you have to be persistent if you're trying to go after something and want to do something. And it's going to be delayed gratification. You're not going to get it right now, but that gratification will come in due time. And it's like when you go to the gym. No one's going to expect to go to the gym for 1 week, 1 day, and see instant results. No, everybody understands that it's going to take months, potentially years of time to start to see that gratification and feel that gratification. But in the environment that we live nowadays, a society, certainly with the scrolling on the phones, that's just, that younger generation's just tuned to instant gratification constantly.
Yeah.
So when you see it bring into the workplace, it's like, no, like, this is going to take some time. And it might take some time as you on an individual level, or it might take some time on a project level or as an organizational level, depending on where you're trying to go with things.
You have young listeners. We have a lot of people who are considering their career path. Make the case that skilled trades can still be a creative path that allows them to express their individuality. And I think Walter Productions is just one example of that. But there's an entire industry out there that's looking for that unique combination.
Yeah, there really is. I think it kind of goes to follow your heart. Like, if we all have those moments in our lives or our days where we're like, oh, wow, that would look really incredible. That would be amazing to be involved over here. Don't be afraid of it. Like, go after that. That's the world trying to tell you something and speak to you. Go for it. And going for it is going to start with just showing up and showing up with your best self. And all you can do is your best. Just continue to do your best. And if you keep doing that, and I mean keep doing it with some persistence and keep showing up, you'll land on it. You'll get there. And it may not be the path that you envision or what you think. Don't try to create that path. It's gonna show its way to you as you move forward. And it's kind of like, relationships. When you're really looking to find a partner, you're never gonna find that partner. When you stop looking for finding a partner, there's just gonna show up all of a sudden. So don't be blind to it. Keep your eyes open. And when you feel that little wrench in your heart to say, yes, that seems really incredible, interesting, just go for it. And again, just start showing up is how I would describe it.
I ask deep questions, Ryan. What's the future of Walter Productions? I mean, where do you see it going? I think they look so transformative, so transporting, these environments that you build. Mm-hmm. I find it amazing that you come into an area that is just empty, either just a flat space or a box, and you make it into something alive and vivid and like another world. Is there a cap on what you can do, or is this only going to get bigger and more transporting?
Totally no cap.
There's no cap?
Our society and world tends to get more and more sterile, certainly as it relates to like industry consolidation. You kind of lose a lot of that creativity because you just have this consolidation, corporatization of industries or environments or businesses. So they don't have the energy or time to focus on that creativity because they're just focusing on that model, that tried and true model that they're just replicate, grow it. So our model in replicating and growing it is focusing on that creativity because that is the differentiator that we have over your standard basic stage that occurs, mm-hmm. your standard basic concert venue that occurs. There's nothing special or unique about that. It's all the same lights, it's all the same sound, same video screens, but when you bring in that human element of creativity that's craftsman made or designed and thought of by an artist that has a unique narrative that starts to pull the event together or the experience together, that is what starts to invoke that. Again, going back to emotion, starts to invoke that emotion. And ultimately, when it comes to entertainment, which is our industry, that's what we're trying to seek. We're trying to seek that emotion, that feel-good emotion, or disconnect from the real world. So standard productions and our competitors, if you will do it with brighter lights, bigger sound systems, bigger screens, better DJs, better artists. We'll do that with those elements, but then you add in and you layer in that level of creativity, that level of surprise at times. And that element is what takes it really to the next level and makes it different. So what are we going to keep doing? We're going to keep doing that, and we're going to do more of that.
But it'll change the way it looks and feels over time as technology changes. Like I'm thinking like the Sphere in Vegas, things like that have become very projection based. Is that kind of where you see it going?
Technology, materials too, and the availability and expediency of access to materials is a big part of what we see regularly. You know, the world is just speeding up quicker and quicker thanks to companies like Amazon. You know, we can get things very fast and adapt and change to move forward. So it's in technology in our world, especially in like the event technology side of things, it's moving very quickly. You know, equipment's getting lighter, smaller, using less power, which means we can do more.
Right.
And you're seeing that in the world. You're just seeing more of it.
Well, we like to end with advice, kind of a pep talk, if you will, for particularly our younger, but even mid-career people who are looking for a change and might feel stuck or trapped in their current path. What's the advice you'd give? What's the differentiator in the marketplace? We talked a lot about hustle, showing up, adaptability. Is there one key thing that you think would separate somebody, and how much of it entails skills and education and preparation?
Yeah, I kind of go back to, follow your heart. Like really follow, like if you really see something that you want to be involved in, go after it. Like don't be afraid to, and expect to fail. Expect the door to get closed on you. Expect and anticipate those things because they're going to happen, and you need to just keep moving forward and just keep showing up, keep networking. Don't give up that persistence, and you'll find it. I can't give advice on what may speak to any particular person. We're all highly unique, and something that may be interesting in one, not so much on the other. But it's really about what speaks to you individually. Don't feel like you're in a grind.
Yeah.
Life's too short to be in the grind and to hate what you're doing. Take a risk, and you may never know what's on the other side. So
That's right. Have a little grit and go for it.
that's right. Yeah.
We've been speaking with Ryan Tucknott. He's the Director of Business Development at Walter Productions. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Listen, skilled work isn't one size fits all anymore. It's being redefined and built through creativity, craftsmanship, and the courage to take a different path. Thanks for listening to Skilled Nation.